Tractate Sanhedrin, page 52 at the Mishnah. Just a short word of introduction. We have the minhag to eat challah on Shabbat, Friday night, Shabbat morning, third meal. Many Jewish families have the minhag, have the tradition not to use a sharp knife that have those special strong pieces that cut. We're going to talk about the reason for that, the source, especially the Kabbalist idea of the Malach HaMavet, the angel of death, figuratively use this type of knife and in conjunction to our subject. But also there is a famous teshuvah, famous responsa from the late great Rabbi Moshe P, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, the great leader in American Jewry, who talk about uvechukoteihem lo telechu. The Torah prohibited us to behave in manner of which people kind of behave and dress. We have our own respectful dress code and own way to show our way of behave and dress. So therefore, people ask him a question such as, common question, I am a medical doctor, I am an attorney, I am a surgeon, I am an accountant, everybody in my firm are not Jewish, do I have the obligation to wear kippah at my work, and when and where and how it's permissible, if it is, not to wear kippah that identified me as an observant Jew in this special, not always hostile, but sometimes unpleasant working environment, especially if it's connected to my income, my parnasa, that I feel kind of insecure or 100% comfortable with a certain work environment. We're going to talk about it in conjunction of the pasuk uvechukoteihem lo telechu, that we have to have our dress code. Just a short personal story before we go to our class. While I was preparing this shi'ur, I recall 22 years ago, I came to this country in 1996, and the immigration attorney, since I came from Israel, asked me a question: how do you want to have your American name at that time? He offered me all kind of names, from Marvin to Morris to Melvin to Mo, to all kind of ideas, and I insisted to have my original name, which is Moshe Piנחas, and the reason I explained to that non-observant immigration attorney, it's because when the Jewish people left Egypt, the Midrash described the zchut, the special merit, that they were able, even they are so much deep in trouble in the gates of impurity in the rabbinic language, it's because that they observe their original dress code, their original language, and their original identity, even by their name. So therefore, even we, the Jewish people, are in diaspora most of those years, and in a way, in a galut, in an exile. This is one of the things that bring us the opportunity to look forward for the days that we'll be able to ingather in Eretz Israel, and therefore I ask to keep my original name. It's kind of funny because over the years, when I was teaching in college, I remember those years on different universities. I was in the Florida Atlantic University and other universities in Maryland and others. Many of my non-Jewish students call me Mashi, Moshe, all kind of ideas, because they have issue of pronunciation, M-O-S-H-E. But with all said and done, it's a good thing. That's what the rabbi said, Shelo shinu, the Jewish people did not change their identification, the name, or their appearance. So that's part of our discussion. Obviously, we're going to start with the subject that we discussed in the past several days, which is Arba Mitot Bet Din. And again, for those who are not familiar, just a word of explanation. First and foremost, in that sense, we're talking about the structure of very abstractive or general Torah law that speaks about execution. We're not talking about people going tomorrow morning to execute someone, God forbid, but we talk about structure of understanding. And the language of the Torah, for different violation, there is equivalent of different punishment. And therefore the Torah tells us that there are 4 types of punishment. The rabbis argue which one is the strongest one. The most notion is called skila. Skila meaning stoning. So anytime I use the word skila and this shi'ur and this lecture, you should know that that means stoning. Then sreifa. Sreifa meaning burning. As we said, there is a view we learned yesterday of some that said that sreifa, it's chamur, is more stringent. Then we have hereg. Hereg, in those days they used to have a spear, a knife. And then we have a chenek. Chenek literally meaning strangulation. So we're going to speak about the application in those days of the process, how they do it following the biblical precept. So we are page 52 at the Mishnah. Mitzvat hanisrafim, the process of doing the act of sreifa, execution of sreifa. Hayu meshak'im oto, they submerge the person bezevel ad arkubotav, so dags up to his knees, and the mefarshim here goes at length to explain that maybe it's because it fell the wrong place, the oferet, or because of trepidation will be different. ונותנים סודר קשה לתוך הרקה וכורך על צווארו, and they place a rough scarf within the soft one and the wrap around neck. And those 2 witnesses that basically gave the testimony that basically caused him to that execution, since the Rambam quoted the Gemara that said the Torah that said Yad ha'edim tiyeh bo barishona la'amito, the Torah said in Devarim 17, those witnesses are the people who needs to do it based on their testimony. That's the Rambam, and you see it also in our Gemarrah Sanhedrin 15. So therefore they do it. זה מושך אצלו וזה מושך אצלו, עד שפותח את הפיו, each one pull, open his mouth, מדליק את הפתילה וזורקה לתוך פיו. So one of them does that, he lights the wick, וזורקה לתוך פיו, יורדת לתוך מאיו וחומרת במאיו. So in that sense, the way we see it, according to Tiferet Israel and Rashi and others, that's basically, soon you will learn, Bolo Mitaya Faret, that's kind of expedition in the least way. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, אם אף הוא מת בידם, Rabbi Yehuda concerned that it will be a different form of execution, not the one that the Torah commanded, which is chenek instead of the one we said, שלא היו מקיימים בו מצוות שריפה, אלא פותח פיו בצוות שלא בטובתו, מדליק את הפתילה וזורקה לתוך פיו, ויורדת לתוך מאיו וחומרת את בני מאיו. So he explained this more graphic, literal way, and you can read in your translation. So basically, do it is basically fulfilling directly the mitzvah of srifa. The Rambam tells us in Great Sanhedrin chapter 15, the agent of the court submerge the condemned one, and he does this process, and the 2 witnesses they pull and do that. You see all the graphic description in your translation of the Gemara. אמר רבי אלעזר בן הצדוק, מעשה בת כהן אחת שזינתה וקיפוה חבלי זמורות ושרפוה. So here we bring a story of Elazar ben Tzadok, in daughter of Kohen, as we explained yesterday, that she committed adultery, and they do it with those bundles and fulfill the mitzvah of שריפה. אמרו לו, מפני שלב בדין עוד של אותה שעה בקי, which happens sometimes, that the bedin was not so proficient in halachot, and that's the cause of that. Either, according to Rashi, it was Dokim, Sadducees, but in short, you cannot prove from that. So the Gemara asks, my ptila, what is exactly the week? And the Mishnah speaks, Marav Matna, ptila shel avar, which is that it's of lead, which means it's a long thin piece of lead in the shape of a wick, which is melted and poured down into the intestine. So that's basically the Tiferet Israel explained that they did it prior to the act. We learn the verbal analogy from the juxtaposition of the word sreifa, which is burning from Leviticus, also Leviticus 21, but we learn it from the story of Korach, which is the book of Numbers, chapter 17. What the story of Korach is basically using the same idea of a burning coming out. Afkan srifat neshama veguf kayam. So here too you talk about the body itself remaining intact, but meaning in a way you burn the soul, but the body remain intact. So he is not executed by means of the burning of the body with wood, so the body will be consumed. Now, how? That's one view. Another one is Rabbi Lazar Amar Atiyah Srefa Srefa Mibnei Aaron. We learn a verbal analogy from the story of two sons of Aharon, which is the well-known story in the Torah in the book of Vayikra, chapter 10. And they said, Yivku et ha-srefa, v'acharchem kol bnei Yisrael, Yivku et ha-srefa, they cry out over the burning. Malan srefa neshama v'guf kayam, afkan srefa neshama v'guf kayam. Man de alif malat Korach menalen. So one we learn from the story of the Korach, how do you know that it's the srefa was internal? Dechtiv machtod hachatayim ele benafshotam. So from the word benafshotam, you derive shenishmatam nisrefet v'guf kayam. So it means the souls were burned, but the bodies were intact. Ve'idach, the other one, Rabbi Lazar, why you did not derive it from the story of congregation of Korach? Hahi srifa mamashi, he hold that the story of Korach, it's a real burning. Umay benafshotam shenitchayvu srifa liskei nafshotam. So they basically deserve to have this punishment because the matter of sustaining their soul, they sin because Korach helped them fulfill their bodily desires, and consequently they just followed him. The Torah Kohanim explains that's the idea of, in Parshat Achrimot we learn Te'anu et nafshoteichem, that that's the Achila v'Shtiyah. But anyway, the Meshech Chochmah is beautiful on this pasuk. כדריש לשקיש, דאמר יש לקיש, מה דכתיב בחנפי נהגי מהוג, חרוק עלי שינימו, בשביל חנופה שהחניפו לקורח על עסקי לגימה, חרק עליהם שר של גינוב שינם. So obviously that's more figurative understanding, but in the book of Tehillim, Psalm 35, they said a pasuk with the flattering mockeries and spitefulness, they not at me and their teeth. So obviously is using euphemism, but it means that because the flattery of those people who flatter with Korach over matter eating because of the food and drink that he will give them, the minister of Gehinnom gnash his teeth over them, which means they eventually sin and fell into his hands. So the word ma'og, we take it homiletically, that it's alluding to the uga, which is in Hebrew the word cake. It's Balaturim, you see it also in the Gemara in Sota 41. That's the idea of those people who behave like sycophant, like I think sycophant or sycophant, meaning they did it in order to ingratiate themselves with Korach, and that's unfortunately happened. That's natural death. It's look like a regular natural death. ותניא אמר יוסף בן דוסתאי אומר, שני חוטים של אש יצאו מבית קודש הקודשים נחלקו לארבע ונכנסו שניים בחודמו של זה ושניים בחודמו של זה ושרפום. This is kind of a more graphic description in the Midrash. So remember, it's more kind of, we can use our imaginations, but the way he said it is, I'm just reading the current translation of the words. 2 threads of fire came out of the Holy of Holies and split into 4, and 2 enters the nostrils of this one, and the other 2 enter 2 nostrils of that one, and the thread of fire burned them. So this is the 2 sons of Aaron that sinned. And if you read my book Table Talk, there are so many interpretations I presented. Those who said that they're intoxicated in the temple, those said that they behave inappropriately to Moses, some others said that they dress inappropriately, they hair inappropriately, they are arrogant, they didn't marry. There's all kind of ideas what they do wrong. But in short, the process of their death is the same way as that God blew into the nostrils and make the soul of a person a human being. So the same here is a description that the two thread of fire came out from the Holy of Holy and split into four, and two entered the nostril of this one, the other two entered the nostril of that one, and the thread of fire burned them. So Aruch LaNer said that it was a kind of extension from internal to external and vice versa. Ba'aktiv vatochal otam, it said that and devoured them. So it used the vatochal otam instead of vatochlem. So it means that only they were consumed to the extension of the body. So the Gemara answer, otam velo bigdehem. Again, it's almost like a miracle. So it was them, but not their clothes. V'neilaf miparim anisrafim. So maybe we derive it from the law of bull offering that are burned. So they said, מה לעלם שריפה ממש, אף כאן שריפה ממש. So the Gemara said, מסתברא מאדם אבל למלח, שכן, that they the same from four different things, which is Adam, chote, neshama, pigul. Adam, both of cases speak about a human, a person, not an animal. Two, that the burning of chote, but not parim, which is the bulls that not seen. Three, neshama, which is taking out the soul and not the body. And four is the word pigul, which is after its designated time. So it is not relevant in either case, whereas it's relevant to bull offerings that are burned. So the Gemara said, Aderabba, quite the contrary. Piparim nisrafim al machshiken. These are two things by them. Number one, machshir ledorot. Machshir, number one, that they fulfill their obligation, they enable to fulfill the mitzvah, because the death of the assembly of Korach and the sons of Aaron were not mitzvot. Furthermore, both of these are fixed halachat for the future generation, ledorot, where the death of the assembly of the Korach and the sons of Aaron, one-time incidents. So the Gemara said, Hanach nefishin, those are more numerous. My dear Badat Korach, my Tamalo Alif in Aaron, the Gemara said, Ahu srifa mamash shavai. ונאלף מינה, אמר רב נחמן, אמר רב רבו, אמר קרא, ואהבת לרעך כמוהו, ברו לא מתערף עליהם. This is something you see again and again and again. The notion of you love your neighbor as yourself, which is very common, not only in our religion, but I see other religions use it all the time, that teach that even with regards to condemned prisoners, one should select a good, which is compassionate death for him. The method of burning described in the Mishnah is certainly faster and less painful than the burning of the entire body. So why you need the verbal analogy? כלל, ואם משומע ודרעך כמוך, להפיש חבילי זמורות, כי יחד לשרוף לעגל, כמה שמלן. So that's the שריפה that you have the body, that's considering important שריפה. וכבר היו משה ואהרון מלכים בדרך. So now, so try to explain for what sin they punished the two sons of Aaron. So Moses and Aaron were walking, and they said, "Nadav avu malchin achreim." The two sons of Aaron walking on their back. B'chol Yisrael achreim, and all the nation follow them. Amaru Nadav laviu, matai yamutu shne zkenim halalu, v'ani v'ata nigta dor. So this is one of the interpretations. Again, you can read in my book called Table Talk. I give all different variety of many different commentators and Gemarot the reason for their death. But in short, here they said that because they are looking for power, it's called srara, rabbanut. So Rashi explained that's the reason why they shortened their lives. They said, oh, when these two elderly people, which is Moses and Aaron, will pass away, so we'll be able to take over the leadership. So Meiri said it was some type of act of jealousy, but anyway, Amar lem HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hanir'eh mi kover et mi. If that's the language you speak, let's see who buried whom. Amar Rav Papa Hainu Damre Inche Nefishe Gamlei Savedi Tenei Mashche Dehugnei. So there is a well-known statement that said that many are the old camels that are loaded with the skin of young camels. So it means that the old camels have a longest life than the youth. So that's basically kind of using euphemism, using some type of simile to explain the response of God for this bad expression. Again, just like personal reflection when I study it. As you know, I was a rabbi of two different respected communities, one in New Jersey for 5 years and one in Maryland for 15 years. So over those 20 years, I have the privilege to visit many times a assistant living, senior home, nursing home. And I remember one time I was visiting a fellow, and it was next door someone, I assume not Jewish person, and the son and daughter were discussing how to expedite the death of the father, because it's kind of a burden with them, and they already talk about how they can split the Yerusha, the money that's supposed to left over. And the whole discussion, it was more than once I attend, I was extremely upset and disturbed to hear the conversation while visiting the father. It's already planning how to split the money of the father and how to. So that's one of the most horrific. When we pray, we're getting close to Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. We pray when the ark is open, Shema Kolenu, hear our voice. Al tashlichenu le'ed zikna. Please, Almighty God, do not forsake us when we reach the old age. This is one of the worst punishment when a person gets the old age, to see the children just cannot wait to see the person die and split the money. And I cannot tell you how many times I talk to elderly people who complain. They said, look what I did to my children, look what I did to my grandchildren, look how much money and others I gave to them, and now if they call me once a week, I'm lucky. If they visit me once a week, I'm super lucky. And when I visited them and spent time with them, it was extremely painful to hear their agony. So again, you learn here from the story of two sons and Aaron, and that's one of the beauty on our Torah that describe how these two sons were so rude in their sense that they cannot wait to see the parents, the father, passed away, and God interfered in our language and said, you will die before them. Anyway, so we believe that the congregation of Korach at that time was a Torah scholar, but anyway, as we see, since they received from Korach this type of matnot chinam, this type of gift, their value denigrate in his eyes, and he basically helped them. You know, when you're giving gift to certain constituencies, to certain people in your campaign, you'll be able to have them in your party. So the Gemara here gives us some advice to the Torah scholar. Amar Rabbi, either Eliezer or Elazar, depend on the Nusach, page 52b, Lema Tamid Chacham Domeh Lifnei Ha'aretz. To what is the Torah scholar compare when it's reading before the one who is ignoramus? So they said, בתחילה דומה לקיטון של זהב, סיפר ממנו דומה לקיטון של כסף, נהנה ממנו דומה לקיטון של חרס, כיוון שנשבר שוב אין לו תקנה. So at first, when he does not know him, the ignoramus consider him as like a goblet of gold. Once he has conversed with him concerning mundane matter, he's considered him as like a goblet of silver, which is the status of the Torah scholar, is downgraded in the eyes of the ignoramus. Once the scholars receive benefit from the ignoramus, we consider him like the earthenware goblet, which is the broken, cannot be fixed. So I just want to add some points when we talk about Nadav and Avihu. As we said earlier, there are many meforshim, from negative to positive. Take the Ktav Sofer and others, Sefer Beurim, in Chatani, many others that say that it was act of piety, that and it wasn't. So again, you go both ways. What exactly the purpose? I give you an example. The Chida asked a question that Nadav is the one who speaks. Avihu didn't do anything, so why he was punished? So the Chida explained in this book called Nachal Gdumim that you see here a proof that even if someone is quiet, is basically acquiesce or display equanimity, is also sometimes considering a sin, because he should be, it's called ayalav limchot velo macha, he should basically objected it. So that's what the Gemara in Sotah, the Chida said. The Gemara in Sotah, page 11, said to us, Yov sheshatak lidon b'isurim, Job, the biblical Job, who was in a council and heard the decree of Pharaoh, he stayed quiet, and he was judged to suffer. So they ask a question why he was judged just because he was quiet. So here, the Chazal teaches, the sages, that even one who hear and keep quiet, that's the sin the same as someone who expresses it in words. So that's the Midrash Tanchuma tells it in Parshat Achrei Mot. So they said, based on the book of Iyov, chapter 37, Iyov said, Ach af lazot yecherad libi v'yater mimkomo. So Iyov compared the sons of Aaron to him. So it means that Avihu was punished only because he was quiet. So it said, Af lazot yecherad libi, that I was also quiet when we have this council with Pharaoh, and I kept quiet. But there's a book called Ramatayim Tzofim. That's basically a book that was written on Tana Dever Eliyahu Zuta. And he said, when the Gemara mentioned that Nadav and Avihu said, you and I will lead the generation, so he explained that to reach such a highest level of worship God that they didn't marry, and they want to reach a time that they can perfectly lead the generation without negi'ah pratit, without any other biased thoughts, that aken olam b'malchut, that they fix the world in the leadership of the Almighty. So therefore, that they felt that avodat shnei zkenim alalu, that Moses and Aaron, is basically disturbing for that to happen, because that was the first day of bringing korbanot, bringing offering of the nation. And Chazal said that bezvul yesh mizbeach, that it's on the altar. So here is the word bezvul yesh mizbeach umichael השר הגדול של ישראל עומד ומקריב שם נשמותיהם של צדיקים. So I'm just reading the words of Ramatayim Tzofim. He said, התכוונו במעשיהם ממה נפשך. They meant to say as follow, אם נצליח ויהיה התיקון השלם הרי מה טוב. If we are successful and be the best תיקון, how it's great. ואם לא, על ידי המסירות נפש, יהיה תיקון לכל הקורבנות שבני ישראל הקריבו מהיום והלאה. It will be a תיקון for the future. שיהיה כל המקריב קורבן כאילו את נפשו הקריב. So that's, בזאת יבוא אהרון אל הקודש. So it means that after the passing of the two sons of Aharon, in such a מסירות נפש, so that's bezot, that it, because of that zchut, have it. So as we see that there's many avenues, you can go positive, you can go negative, that you see more in the Shem Mishmuel, Nismach Moshe, and also you see in my brother-in-law book, the Daf al Daf, a lot of expansion on this idea. But anyway, the Shol v'Meishiv bring the question of the Meforshim in Chayei Sarah. The Torah said, ויושם לפניו לאכול, ויאמר לו אוכל עד כי דיברתי דברי. So they said that they brought him bread to eat, that said, I'm not going to speak before to eat before I speak. So why Eliezer, the servant of Abraham, refused to eat before he expressed his shlichut? Magid Meduvna said that he was afraid that they're going to ask him for money for the expense of the food. But anyway, the Shol v'Meishiv explains, based on our Gemara, that if Tamid Chacham eat by the Am Haaretz, so the Gemara said, Domeh alav lekiton shel cheres. So he is afraid that they don't take seriously what he said. So therefore he wants to finish his talk before that. So that's the Magid Meisharim explained, Rabbi Reuven Karlstein explained that that's the idea, that the difference between Am Haaretz and Tamid Chacham, that when a person can recognize himself, the more he gets close to Tamid Chacham, he value himself, he see himself, who is he exactly. Anyway, there is a lot of expansion we can have on this sugya, but let's continue. So the Gemara said, Imrata bat talei kohen bat kohen shezinta havai. So it was a one by the name of Imarta bat talei, that was a kohen's daughter who was zinta. So they said, Yakfar Rab Chama bar Tov v'chavlez morot usrafa. This is an example that he did. Amar Rav Yosef said that he was mistake in two halachot. תעבד רב מתנה ותעבד תניא ובאת לכהנים הלוויים ולשופט אשר יהיה בהם ההם. בזמן שיש כהן יש משפט, בזמן שאין כהן משפט. So when he's no כהן, he doesn't have the authority to reach that. But the Maharshal tried to explain why Rav Chama did it. And you see more in Margaliot Hayam and Shvut Yaakov why is it Tosfot also here about the Sanhedrin and what. Anyway, אמר רבי אלעזר ורבי צדוק, מעשה בת כהן שזינתה, אמר רבי יוסף, בדין של צדוקים הווה. רבי יוסף said that, you know what, it was that basically bedin, that it's Sadducees. So Sadducees interpreted the pasuk according to their its literal straight forward meaning, which obviously it's incorrect. So, and we learn the way that we learn the Gzerah Shavah, the verbal juxtaposition, the verbal analogy that we explained in the previous part of the Shi'ur. So anyway, Hache Amar Lo Vache Adre Lo, that Rabbi Lazar said to the sages, and that's the way they respond. Matanya Amar Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Tzadok, Zchurani She'edit Nok Murkav B'Ktefo Shel Abba. I remember when I was a little child, and my dad used to carry me on his shoulder. הביאו בת כהן שזינתה וכיפו חבלי זמורות ושרפו, אמרו לו, קטן היית ואין מביאים ראיה מן הקטן. They said that you are a little boy, so you cannot bring a proof on that. So they said, שני מעשים היו, it's two different stories. היה אמר לו ברישה, אילה מראי כמה הייתה, אמר לו ברישה, אמר לו כשהוא גדול ולא אשגחו בי. אמר לו כשהוא קטן ואשגחו בי. For sure not. אלא אמר לו ברישה, ואמרו לי, קטן היית, ואמר לו כשהוא גדול, ואמרו לי מפני שלא היה בדין של רשע בקי. So in short, you see that the bed din at that time, it was because it was not proficient in halachot, that's what happened. So now we go to the third mitah, which is saif, the idea of king by the sword. According to the sages, mitzvat haneheragin, the mitzvah of those who are process of this type of execution by decapitation is carried out the following manner. The way that the kingdom, the non-Jewish kingdom used to do it. So we said that that's the cutting of the Kanan Veshet. So Rabbi Yehuda Omer Nivulu lo, Rabbi Yehuda disagree because he said the way it is, it's improper, it degrades him. אלא מניחים את ראשו על הסדן וקוצץ בקופיץ, אמרו לו אין מיתה מנוולת כזאת. So the sage said that's the opposite, that is a very death penalty that involved with degrading, so it's better for him to be executed in a manner that we describe first. So obviously there is a שאלות ותשובות אור המאיר that he described the difference between the two. Tanya, אמר להם רבי יהודה חכמים, אף אני יודע שמיתה מנוולת היא. I know that it's degrading death. אבל מה יעשה שרמרה תורה בחוקותיהם לא תלרו? The Torah said you should not follow their status, which is it is prohibited to adopt the practice of those idolaters. ורבנן כי כתיב סייף באורייתא לא מינאיו כגמרינן. דילו תימא אחי, הדתניא שורפים על המלכים ולא מדרכי המורי, היכי שרפינן וכתיבו בחוקותיהם לא תלכו, אלא כיוון דכתיב שריפה באורייתא, דכתיב משרפות אבותיך וגומר, לאו מינאיו כגמרינן. והכנה מכיוון דכתיב סייף באורייתא לא מינאיו כגמרינן. So it's not the issue בחוקות הגויים. והעד איתן בידך פירקין לא נהרגין, אלו הן הנהרגין, הרוצח ואנשי עיר הנידחת, בשלמה עיר הנידחת כתיב לו לפי חרב, אלא רוצח מנהלן, דתניא נקום מנקם, נקימה יעזו איני יודע מה הוא, כשהוא אומר, והבאתי לכם חרב נוקם, נקנם ברית, הביאום נקימה זו סייף. ואם דברי למברז, so the Torah said, לפי חרב. ואם דוד לגיסטרה, maybe that cut half, so they said that down the middle of the body. So they said, אמר רב נחמן, אמר רבא בר אבוה, אמר קרא ואהבת לרעך כמוך בו לא מיתה יפה. The same way that you should do, if needed, this type of compassionate death. So basically cutting to a half, it's not Khalila, it's not the proper way. So Yad Rama explained that that's more compassionate one. Ashkechan dekata lavda barchonin menala. So we understand that that's applied to a avda, slave, but how about the free men? So you do it the same. So velav kal v'chomeru ketal avda b'sayif barchorin b'chenek. Hanicha leman amar chenek kal. The one who said that it's least more lenient is the chenek, the strangulation. Ela leman amar chenek chamur ma'ika lemeimar. נפקא לנתניה, ואתה תבער אדם הנקי מקרבך. The Torah said, and you shall put away the innocent blood from your meats. That's in Deuteronomy chapter 21. הוגשו כל שופכי דמים לעגלה ערופה. מה בסייף ומן הצוואר, אף כאן בזייף ומן הצוואר. אם על עלן בקופיץ ומול עורף, אף כאן בקופיץ ומול עורף. אמר רב נחמן, אמר רבא בר אבוה, the same way, אמר קרא, ואהבת לרעך כמוך, ברור לו מיתה יפה. So it's always, we try to do it, those type of capital punishment, to do it in the most compassionate method, that if needs to be done, it needs to be done at the least. Because as you see, the Rama explained that there are two different ways. You see it also in Rashi 2:37. There's two different ways to do it, so we have to do it in the least. So the derivative from that, number one, you see the Kabbalistic notions, people use the chalot for Shabbat. So Sephardim, they hardly use knife, they just cut the challah and throw pieces. Ashkenazim use knife, so not everyone. For example, the late Balatanya, the first Shulchan Aruch Harav, used to hide the knife, just use it for cutting the bread and then don't left it on the table, because we believe that the house is a miniature temple and the table is like a little altar, so we have to do it the same way. That's one of the reasons we put the salt on the challah. But the Kabbalistic interpretation, they said that the Malach HaMavet, the angel of death, used knife, so therefore there are those who are very makpid, who are very strict, not to use a sakinim shinaim, certain knives that presented in the same imaginary way. Another important point is the B'chukotem lo telechu is the famous Maharik. He asked a question about different method of wearing certain dress code. Even nowadays you have doctors, they're wearing a white garment or green one. So they ask a question, is that nidmeh, it looks like idolater, so B'chukotem lo telechu or not? When and where and how. It's from Moshe Feinstein, as we said, you have a long response on what and when and how. If someone needs to parnasah, to make a living, if you're allowed to be at work without kippah, or with a certain dress code, etc., or growing certain hair, but in general we should know the rules. The rules is, b'chukotem lo telechu, as much as a person can be, he or she should observe the pure Hebrew name, or at least know their Hebrew names, dress as much as they can the way that our people dress, and basically preserve the idea of u'bechukotehem lo telechu, that we should be careful not to be kind of a melting cup part of society that not always go in the spirit of Torah's life.